So now the next thing is the icon style and the icon position. Now we know from looking at the other Select Eyes select box that this arrow is being drawn with CSS, which makes it very cool for this single arrow. But if we wanted to convert it to an up-down arrow, that we're going to run into some challenges. So what we can do instead is hide this and then use the strategy that we've used before to add an icon font to the CSS content property before this bit right here. So let's inspect this to see if we can find where this border is being set. So we have our div here, our site, our input, our after. Okay, so it looks like it's in the CSS after selector for this bit right here. And if we disable all of these, the border color, border width, border style, then we'll see that disappear here. All right, so let's figure out a good selector to point to this and reset the styles on it. So our outermost selector is our search form type. So let's add that in here. We'll use the ampersand, and then we'll do type. So again, this is a div that's taking over the class name that we used originally for our select. So we only want to apply these styles to the div. So let's use div dot for this identifier. Again, this will look for divs that have the class search form type. So here's the selector that they're using in order to create that border arrow. So let's copy this selector and paste it in here and see if we can tweak this to what we want. So the selectivize control.single sounds like it's probably a delineator between drop-down menus that have one option visible and ones that have multiple options visible. I think we can remove that since we're already qualifying this selector by setting it in the search form selector. But this selectivize input after seems about right. So here, let's set the border to none. Let's save this and refresh and see what we get. Okay, we get an error because I was trying to be too creative with our selector. So previously, when we used selectors for selectivize, we didn't try using an ampersand in the middle of the selector. I was just kind of curious if it would work, and it doesn't. So what we'll need to do is spell out the whole selector here. So we'll do search form type here, and I'll save it and refresh. Okay, so when we do this, now our little arrow is gone. So that's a good start. Now let's see if we can add this other icon in. So if we inspect this element, we can hover over the elements down here to kind of get a sense of what we might want to add this icon to. So we have the outermost div, and then we have this internal div. So I'm thinking that this inner div might be the best choice to start out with. So let's give this one a try. So I'm going to copy this class, selectivize input. This is the same class that we overrode the after for here, and we're going to set a before. And now let's see if we can find an up-down icon in Font Awesome. Now I would call this a sort icon, and sure enough we have one right here. So I'm going to copy the code, again everything between the X and the semicolon, and we'll set the font family to Font Awesome, and we'll set the content to a backslash and then that character code. Let's save this and go back to the browser and refresh. Ah, nice. If we click this, it will allow us to select an option, but then it will add that back in.